Good morning, friends. In recent days, of course, our hearts have been fixed upon the terrible sorrow and trouble that has affected our country with the war in Iraq and with American men and women that are serving overseas, some of whom who have laid down their lives. We grieve for their families. We realize that this in our country has been a time of danger and difficulty for us. And as Christians, we pray for God's peace. The scriptures tell us in Psalm 122 that we are to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and we let Jerusalem stand as a symbolic representative of the entire Middle East. You know, it's always possible when looking at unfolding events to be a pessimist about human history or to have an optimistic view. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to go through Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I had the privilege of doing that several years ago, and as I was taking the tour guide pointed to an occasion that happened at the conclusion of the action to adopt the Constitution of the United States. You recall that in Independence Hall, first the Declaration of Independence was adopted in 1776, and then 13 years later the Constitutional Convention convened, and all during that long, hot summer of 1787, the delegates debated what is now our Constitution. And when, after that long summer of tremendous debate, a final document had emerged, on the closing day, the tour guide said that Benjamin Franklin rose to address the assembly. He, by that time, was an old man. He was in his 80s. He had been ill a good part of the Constitutional Convention and was often carried in by others so he could take his seat. He referred to the chair in which George Washington had sat during that whole Constitutional Convention. Washington had chaired the Constitutional Convention. And the top slat of the chair had engraved on it, and you can still see it today, a sunburst. And Franklin said, during these long days when we have debated the Constitution, I have often looked at the chair in which General Washington has sat, and I have wondered if that sun represented a setting sun or a rising sun. I have come to the conclusion, as we have adopted this Constitution, that this sun represents a rising sun on the American Republic. I believe that we can look at a time of warfare and danger and have the same attitude. That God's purposes for our country, a beacon of freedom, a beacon of light, a beacon from which followers of Jesus Christ have had the liberty to go to the ends of the world to share the good news of Jesus, that this nation has a special purpose in God's plan, and we believe in God's heart as well. So despite the difficulty, we believe that the future for us is as bright as God's promises. And that applies to your future as well, that your future represents a rising sun in Jesus Christ also.